Greetings, Eric Hammond here with Joy Homesteading. I am going to show you how to cook an omelet inside of a cast iron pan. So tons of people struggle with using cast iron cookware on their homesteads. I think it's one of the safest things that you can eat out of. So, there's a lot of misnomers of things you can and can't do. I'm going to show you how to cook eggs, and the hardest one is an omelet. So one of the first big things I want to do before I start this video, just to make it fun, is everybody says, you can't use soap on a cast iron pan, it'll ruin it. I'm going to take some Dawn dish soap, and I'm just going to fill this sucker up. I'm going to put so much soap in here. You want to tell me I can't use soap on a cast iron pan? And I'm going to tell you you're wrong. I'm going to scrub this thing till it's completely clean. Fill this thing with soap. Get that stuff everywhere. See if I ruin this pan with this soap. So this is a silly idea that people have, that you can't use soap on a cast iron pan. I don't know where it comes from. When you put a seasoning on a cast iron pan, you're taking an oil, you're subjecting it to an incredible high heat, and that oil goes through a change. It's called polymerization, which basically forms like a plastic on the surface of the pan. And soap isn't going to take plastic off your pan. Like, that stuff's on there, it ain't coming off. Look at that. Look at all that nice soap. This pan I like to use, this is just a Lodge pan. This is a new one. This isn't an old one. This is one that came from Walmart, I think. My brother-in-law and sister got this for me years ago when I started out homesteading, living in a tiny house. And it's really worn smooth over the years. That's one thing that a lot of people say too. Like a stainless steel spatula can't wear out a cast iron pan. Boy, it sure can. You move that spatula across the surface of a pan enough times, it makes it pretty darn smooth in there. So once I wash my pan, the next thing I want to do is I want to go to the stove, heat it up, and boil all that water off. So let me take you over there. All right, here we are. We're at the stove. This is my freshly washed pan. You want to boil that water out of it. So every time you're done using it, just come to the stove after you've washed it, heat it up, and get the water out. We're going to cook in it. So we're going to immediately put some oil in it after it's dry. Cast iron pans heat super unevenly. So you really have to move them around to get the heat all the way around this when you're cooking an omelet. I'm going to let that heat up. I've got just 3 eggs here. We're going to whisk those. And I'll show you the secret to this. The reason you guys are having trouble cooking eggs in your cast iron pans is because you're using the wrong kind of oil. They introduced all of these seed oils, and they really took off in the 70s. So canola and sunflower and safflower and everything else, grapeseed oil. None of those work good for a cast iron pan. You really should be using animal fats. And when you use beef tallow in a cast iron pan, the results you get are going to be night and day. The beef tallow can be pretty much free. I'm sorry. Baby's distracting me. It's okay, little boy. Beef tallow can be pretty much free. When you cut up any proteins, just save the fat off of them till you get 4 or 5 pounds of the stuff. Put it in a crock pot and just render that stuff down over the period of a couple days, and it really works good for cooking. So here is my pan. I kind of move it around to try and dry that off, get all the water evaporated out of it. When we cook our eggs, we're going to do it on a super low temperature. And I'll leave this in multiple spots while I get the eggs ready so that the whole pan can get heated evenly. So let me go ahead and put This is beef tallow that we've made here. I'm going to go ahead and put some beef tallow in that pan. It doesn't take much. Ooh, popped right out. You see that? We're going to use a stainless steel spatula. I love these spatulas, these Dexters. They work really good. They got rounded corners. So just move that around your pan. Get all the surfaces that are going to touch egg with that beef tallow. Let that thing heat up. And really try and work it into the surface with your spatula. I'm gonna let that heat up. Let's mix up these eggs right quick. Perfect. And then in my omelet, it's just gonna be simple. I got some pork loin that I'd made previously. I'm gonna put pork loin in it and cheese in it. That's about all I'm gonna do. This is Missouri, so we don't put our toppings in the egg. We let the egg cook and then we use the toppings as filling. Toppings as filling, that doesn't make sense. We use the things that we're going to eat inside. So, beef tallow's all around. I've got it on a low temperature. I just go ahead and pour my eggs in there. And since these pans cook so unevenly, I put a lid on them. And then I try and move that pan around the burner to try and get the whole thing cooked. So this one, I'm going to fast forward through. You can watch. I'm going to try and get this egg cooked. And then I'll show you putting the toppings in. And then I'll show you flipping this egg up onto itself to fold the omelet. But we just kind of periodically move it around. I keep this on the lowest setting I can possibly get. What do you think, little boy? This side over here needs a lot more heat. It's starting to cook on this side, but not so much on this side. Are you hungry for that? Are you wanting to eat some of it? It's important to let your kids help you in things you're doing around the homestead. You know, one of the biggest ways you can save money when you're an adult is to cook for yourself. And how are they going to learn how to cook if you don't let them cook? So we try and involve our kids in everything we do. Teach them to be responsible adults. I'm not trying to raise kids, I'm trying to raise full-grown adults. I usually do, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 eggs at a time. I've never done just 3, but I'm not like super hungry. It's amazing how many eggs you can eat. I'm gonna turn the heat up just a little bit so I can do those edges. It's amazing how many eggs you can eat when you're eating an omelet. Like, I wouldn't cook 3 eggs and eat them, but when I make an omelet, man, I could eat 3 eggs pretty easily. I'm just making sure all the edges are cooked. I'm making sure the inside is cooked. I don't want any runny part of the egg when I go to flip it, because that will ruin the process. And this part takes time. I've purchased a carbon steel pan to see what the difference is between that and cast iron, because I think that's another safe surface that you can eat on. My preferred cooking surfaces are cast iron, stainless steel, and then I think carbon steel is probably an also safe surface to use. But I just don't have a lot of experience with carbon steel pans, and nobody I know has either. So I just got one the other day. I'm hoping that it's heats more evenly is what I'm hoping for. a cast iron pan, like while they're great and they're sturdy, they just have a really poor ability to heat evenly. And I did have a friend who took and cut out a big aluminum disc. I'm talking big, like a 10-inch one that fit the entire bottom of the pan. He put it underneath it, so the aluminum disc goes on the pan or on the stove surface. The pan goes on top of it, and he says that that works so much better to distribute the heat evenly. And since the aluminum doesn't touch your food, you know, that's probably a good idea. So I think we can go ahead and start to put some toppings on here. I'm going to put my meat first. I'm going to scatter that all on 1/2 because I'm going to end up flipping this thing. Let me set the baby down. See if I can set the baby down. Hey, let me. Just a little bit, little boy. Let's put our cheese on there. Yes, little boy. Hold on. I'm going to have to flip this omelet. Okay. So now, this is your huge, this is it. I'm going to take the omelet and I'm going to fold it on itself. This cast iron pan got soaked in Dawn dish soap. Is it going to be possible? Are my eggs going to stick? What's going to happen? Boom. Look at that. Look at it. Isn't that incredible? Here. Look at that. What do you think about that? The difference is the oil you're using. So get rid of your seed oils and start using tallows. Beef tallow, sheep tallow. I don't know so much about using lard for this purpose, but beef tallow and sheep tallow, they work great for this. That's the hardest thing you can cook in a cast iron pan. Look how easy that is. I'm going to put this lid on there so I can melt my cheese, and we're going to enjoy this. Thanks for watching. If you like this kind of thing, hit like, just a thumbs up button, and then subscribe to the channel. We're going to put out all kinds of content of how to, you know, work on your homestead and teach yourself a better life. Thanks for watching.